Alright, hello everybody, Friendly Red here, back with the usual monthly report of new video game releases that have caught my eye. And honestly, while there's plenty of new games releasing this month, not a ton of them have demanded my attention enough to be added to my priority pickups, so I may not have as much to talk about this time around. Still, what is here that I'm planning on getting upon release should make for good reporting on its own, in addition to the honorable mentions too. So before we get on with it, the usual disclaimer. Please keep in mind that release dates are always subject to change, and what's presented in this video may be out of date by the time it is posted. And now, we begin the Reds Radar for May of 2026. We actually have to jump all the way towards the end of the month to get to our first topic of discussion, and that's none other than Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core, or at least the early access launch of it. About 2.5 years from its initial teaser reveal, the RG Rogue Core is almost in our hands. I'm certainly ready to dig into it. Much like Deep Rock Galactic, Rogue Core's focus remains true to what we all know and love from that original game, with you and up to 3 of your friends braving the depths of numerous hostile alien planets, spelunking your way through vast caverns and winding tunnel systems, all while collecting different minerals and resources, and blasting your way through any and all kinds of unsavory alien life forms that may be standing between you and your sweet, sweet payout. Really, where Rogue Core differs from its predecessor is in the introduction of roguelike mechanics. This time around, we'll be working with a run-based game structure, with each session starting everyone off with basic gear and weaponry. But, like in any other roguelike or roguelite, as you progress through the run, you'll be able to find and choose from a variety of different upgrades and weapons, in addition to permanent upgrades you can unlock, which will stay with you on any future attempts. Obviously, with this being an early access launch, what's in the game now will probably be a bit more limited than what we'll have later on, or compared to other games out now in the genre, but I'm still excited to try it out. I mean, Deep Rock Galactic on its own still remains as one of the best co-op shooters on the market, and taking that core, mixing it with roguelite elements and progression, sounds like another recipe for success to me. I normally reserve early access titles for the honorable mentions section, as I find myself buying into less of them these days upon their early access debut. However, given how much fun the original Deep Rock Galactic is, I'm more than happy to pick up Rogue Core as soon as possible. I'm confident in Ghost Ship Games delivering another sublime co-op shooter with Rogue Core, and I'm sure I and my friends will have just as much fun, if not more, this roguelite spin on DRG. Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core will be releasing into early access on Wednesday, May 20th, for PC. And just a day after the early access launch of Rogue Core, everyone's favorite egg making and throwing green dinosaur makes his Nintendo Switch 2 debut, in his own game anyways, with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. After over 7 years since the last standalone Yoshi game, it's finally time to see what's in store next for Yoshi and his friends. I gotta say, I am liking what I'm seeing so far of this new adventure. While we are moving away from the absolutely lovely arts and crafts look that made up the visual identity of both Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World, Mysterious Book is still bringing with it some serious eye candy, with an illustrated, storybook-like appearance making up the game's world, which makes a lot of sense. Yoshi will be traversing different pages within the titular Mysterious Book throughout the game, hence the art style choice. Not that it was really something that was necessary, but I do appreciate having context, or a specific reason as to why this game looks the way it does, which is something that can't really be said about Woolly and Crafted World. Those games never explain or give a reason as to why Yoshi's Island and all of the inhabitants are suddenly made up of wool, cardboard, and other arts and crafts materials, and again, it's not like there really needed to be a reason for that, but I just think it's neat to see a specific cause for the art style shake-up in Mysterious Book. And speaking of neat things, I also am really digging the new focus on learning more about all the different enemies and creatures that have been a part of the Yoshi series of games since all the way back in 1995. As Mysterious Book seems to primarily be about studying their behaviors, and filling out different pages within the Mysterious Book with their information, alongside the usual 2D Yoshi platforming shenanigans. Nintendo has always done a great job with their creature and enemy designs, and I've grown quite fond of many of them over the years. But when you're actually playing the games, it can be hard to fully appreciate them, since you'll usually just quickly dispatch of any of them in your way and be on with it, which is why I think Mysterious Book is so neat. For once, the creatures and enemies get the limelight, and we'll get to learn more about them in the game itself, rather than through older guides or instruction manuals, or different online encyclopedias. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book will be releasing on Thursday, May 21st, exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2. Moving into the honorable mentions, we've got a duo of double release days, with Blood High and Bubsy 4D both releasing on the 22nd. Blood High is a pretty stylish new boomer shooter that I didn't know about until researching for this video, and it looks quite promising, both in terms of visuals and gameplay. You play as a vampire, cursed to have your head separated from your body, which leaves you in a perpetual state of health decay. Fortunately, there's no shortage of baddies that stand in your way that you can use to replenish your ever-draining HP and blood, and you can even overflow your maximum blood value to enter a super-powered state, making you even faster and deadlier in combat. Like last month's Tamashika, the game has a bizarre but appealing style. It looks like it'll be another fast, action-heavy title with little to no filler. Just jump in and get to blasting your way through countless hordes of enemies, which is a type of game I've been very appreciative of recently, so I'm looking forward to trying this one out sometime soon. This one will be out for PC. As for Bubsy 4D, the other May 22nd release, well, it feels weird to say it, but it seems like Bubsy might actually be getting a good video game for once, as this new 3D outing is being handled by Fabraz, the same developers behind Demon Turf and the sequel Demon Tides, which I talked about back in my Red's Radar for February. I've still not gotten to Demon Tides yet, but it's been received quite well from those who have played it, so based on that, as well as the reception to the demo that's been out for Bubsy 4D, I'm relatively confident in saying that Bubsy 4D should end up as not only another great 3D platformer, but may end up becoming the best Bubsy game released yet. Though, to be fair, I suppose that is a pretty low bar to clear when talking about Bubsy. This one will be out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. I did say we had a duo of double release days, and now that we've covered what's coming on the 22nd, we can move on to the 28th, which features a 2-course serving of some excellent looking new multiplayer experiences to have with friends in both Crash Out Crew and Shift at Midnight. Crash Out Crew comes to us from Aggro Crab, who I, and I'm sure many others know now, thanks to their work on Peak, which was easily one of the biggest multiplayer juggernaut releases of last year. This time around though, rather than working with, or against, your friends to try and reach the summit of multiple different mountains, Crash Out Crew has you and up to 3 of your friends becoming forklift certified, and using your newly acquired skills and hardware to manage and deliver all kinds of different shipments and containers across a variety of different warehouses. And like Peak, Crash Out Crew has no shortage of silly, cartoonish physics, items, interactions, and more to ensure that the wackiness, chaos, and fun are dialed up to the maximum. And I suspect that this will become another staple in many a friends group lineup, just like Peak did last year. And I definitely want to check it out, but given that the game has a heavy emphasis on co-op multiplayer, it's obviously something I'd want to play with my friends. And I'm not sure yet if we're all going to be getting it as soon as it releases, hence why I threw it here on the honorable mentions. I'm pretty sure it's something we'll all enjoy though, and if it's priced so low like Peak was, then I suspect this will be one I'll be playing at, or very close to its launch. This one will be out for Xbox Series consoles and PC. The other May 28th release, and the last title on our honorable mentions, is Shift at Midnight. I actually have tried a bit of this one already, thanks to the demo that's out for it, and it was an enjoyable time, and quite the unusual mixture of mechanics and objectives. You know those shop or restaurant simulator games out there? Shift at Midnight is basically that, mixed with last year's No, I'm Not a Human, and a dash of old school Call of Duty Zombies. Kinda. Basically, you and your friends have to manage an old gas station, making sure the gas pumps work, the inside stays clean and well stocked, and so on, while also dealing with customers. However, not every customer that comes into the shop is exactly normal, as some of your clientele is actually made up of human-like doppelgangers, and you'll have to use different information and dialogue clues that are presented to you to determine if it's okay to let them be on their merry way, or to deal with the problem yourself. If you are unsuccessful in identifying and dealing with the doppelgangers, that's where the old school COD Zombies comes into play, as you'll have to barricade and defend the gas station from whatever horrors the doppelgangers decided to send after you. So yeah, it's a strange mixture of ideas, but I think it all works pretty well together, at least based on what I played in the demo, and this is another one I'm hoping to get to at or around its launch, depending on if my friends are able to or want to get it then as well. This one will be out for PC. And that's a wrap on another Red's Radar. As I mentioned at the start, there's not a whole lot that I'm personally wanting to pick up ASAP, but don't be fooled, there are plenty of new games releasing, even outside the ones I talked about here, with stuff like 007 First Light, Forza Horizon 6, Coffee Talk Tokyo, and some promising looking early access launches happening as well, with Dead as Disco, Alabaster Dawn, and Flaw all releasing into the program this month. All of those games do look great, and I am interested in trying them out at some point, but I suppose I'd just prefer to wait until they are a bit cheaper, or until they have finally made it out of early access, in the case of those last 3. Still though, lots of high quality new releases this month, with the potential for even more as well, as Mina the Hollower just went gold during the writing of this section of the script, meaning we could perhaps finally be getting that sometime this month, plus maybe finally getting a concrete date for the early access launch of Rift Fishing, the spiritual successor to web fishing, as it is currently slated for a Q2 2026 release on Steam, meaning it would have to fall sometime during May or June, if that window doesn't change. I suppose we'll have to just wait and see about those, but even if they miss out on releasing this month, I think we'll keep entertained with everything else that's launching. But with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, I thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. Hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in some upcoming games you may not have known about. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.